Good evening, and welcome to another Drive with Dom. Today we are at Xtreme Zone with our pal Cruz Vargas, and we're going to do some laps. Cruz has been here before for a race, but has not karted here in a while, and has been out of karting, generally speaking, of late because he had an operation. So anyway, we got together at Xtreme Zone, and I am going to attempt to show him the way around the track, if you will. We're going to do an endurance race in June or July. So I'm going to help Cruz get familiar with how to approach this track. And by extension, if you're watching this may be useful to you as well. So Xtreme Zone is a track that requires a lot of throttle modulation as opposed to, let's say, braking. And the key at Xtreme Zone, in my humble opinion, is to stay tight to the line, especially in certain places. And the key to doing that is taking off speed on entry to certain corners, maybe modulating speed mid-corner, as you're going around. The basic gist of it is there is, kind of a line that you want to follow, certain apexes you want to prioritize, and we'll watch, Cruz sort of figuring it out, and we'll see him go from, not doing it right to doing it right. So let's just begin. And so right now we're going to probably just do, I think we open with a little lead follow where I'm going to do some laps, and, Cruz is going to follow along behind me. And at some point I'll point him by, and then we'll watch him drive, and so forth and so on. We did a number of sessions today, and mostly double sessions. We did, I think, 3 double sessions and 1 single session. So we got plenty of laps in. Okay, so here we go. We're going to fire off the first lap, and I'm going to go sort of modest pace, as you can see. It's not too far behind. Okay, so the first turn here is a sweeper. We're going to hold throttle as late as we can. We're going to turn up here. We're going to want to get tight here. We're going to want to hold the right side here. We want to be tight to this. Want to be tight to this. We very critically want to be tight to this. We want to clip this one. We're going to run wide of the last one, and then we're going to clip this one. So fairly straightforwards in theory, but in practice, this gets tricky. So the first part of this track is arguably the most fun, which is the beginning of the lap. So the lap starts back, let's see, I'll show you the beginning of the lap. Start finish is right on the corner here, right as you exit the pits. So you can see that line in front of me. And then we go blasting down the straight into turn 1, which is the left sweeper. Now this is full throttle, and you want to be full throttle through here. And you want to be full throttle sort of as long as you can here. There are a variety of ways to do this, but the key thing here is to get the cart turned up correctly into the beginning of the technical section. You're going to run the cart out towards the right wall, not necessarily all the way. As you can see, I do not go all the way. I am trying ultimately to, sort of drive a line that will probably get both apexes, but you can sort of sacrifice the first apex. The critical part is not that one, but this one. The reason being, you want to have the cart correctly positioned here because the technical section begins here. And as you can see, we're going to turn up, and then we're going to turn down to the right. We're going to do that with a 180 left, and then we're going to go right 90, and then we're going to go right 90, we're going to go right down again, and then we're going to go on a left out. So here we do not want to overdrive the entry to the technical section because we do not want to push out to the right. We need to give ourselves plenty of space to be able to get up to the apex up here. Let me show you the one I'm talking about, this one. Now, this one to me is very, very important because it sets up everything. And I like to have my cart, as you can see, pretty much laid across this apex. The reason why is because I really want to keep my cart right, center right on exit here. I do not want my cart bopping out way off to the left. As you can see, I guide the cart more down the middle, which allows me to then set up for this turn where I'm going to ignore the first apex, very much clip the second apex here, turn it back over, clip this apex. This apex is very critical. You will want to take some speed off as you are approaching the apex via throttle reduction. And you're going to want to hold the right side again here. You're going to want to be holding middle right, so you can turn the cart over, go down and get this apex, and then ride it on out. So we'll do a couple laps and just watch the tires warm up a little. You can sort of see how I'm doing it. Turn, that fast turn at the bottom of the, at the bottom of that sweeper is typically the most challenging thing for new racers here because it takes a little while to get used to the idea of holding throttle really, really late there. All right, so I've indicated to Cruz we're going to sort of maybe speed up a little. My tires are still cold, but as you can see, there are certain apexes I really want to get. That one, I want to clip. I want to come down here. I want to clip here. And I want to let it run out. Everything that's going on is more or less throttle modulation. So full, take off a little throttle, get back into throttle, take off a little throttle, get back into throttle, take off, get back in. Maybe, basically every one of these apexes you're approaching and you're trying to kind of have the cart not push offline. And the pushing offline is going to, in the case of these apexes down here, like this one here where you want to lay the cart across this, right here, if you push too hard mid-corner, you'll see that what happens right here is, see how I'm turning right? Well, the cart wants to disconnect itself from the ground and pull to the left, right? It wants to pull outside of this turn. So your job in all of this is to minimize entry, to slightly reduce your entry speed such that the cart can settle down onto the apex without being pulled too far, without being pulled to the left, which enables you to hold tightly here. And you can see what I mean about pulling you out to the left. Watch the way the cart wants to yeet off this apex diagonally to the left here, right? But what I don't want is to have that go much beyond the middle. You can go all the way out if you wanted to, but then you have to cross back all the way over. So I submit to you, it's best to not carry more speed than necessary mid-corner so that you don't have to do that. Just bring it back down, then you don't have to turn around all that much. Here and here. All right. This guy here. Is going to involve some throttle lift, but it's almost zero. Like there's many places here where you're reducing throttle, but I mean going from 100 to 95. It's like almost like you're just kind of letting your toes kind of back off the pressure and you're still very much in throttle, but you're just taking ever so little off so that when you engage in that turn, as I did there, the cart doesn't get yanked off of the line, right? Similarly, it doesn't go too far up to the left here. You'll see that these two apexes, right, the double apexes over here, there's a bounce. You can bounce this high or you can bounce it low, right? You can, in other words, you can connect the two apexes with a narrow, with a shallow or a deep arc. Now, obviously, if you take a deep arc, right, and run the cart out so that you can late apex the next turn, which is what you want to do. If you take a very wide if you take a very wide path through here, people are going to get under you, or rather somebody could get under you and deny you this corner over here. So you want to, be aware of that. But at the same time, you can carry more speed. And more importantly, you can dive down into here at a more extreme angle and be able to turn the cart over a little bit quicker, a little bit sooner. For the sake of this, we're not really going to think about it from the racing perspective, right? Where we're going to think about it more from an ideal perspective. And I would say the ideal approach here is that sort of in between half, sort of halfway version. Anyway, so I'll shut up for a little bit and let's watch. Okay, apexes are starting to get tighter because the tires are starting to warm. And I'm going to point Cruz by. All right, so let's watch Mr. Cruz and see, or rather Mr. Vargas, and see what Cruz is up to. All right, so he's going to go sweeping through here. He's going to take off speed. Oop, and he's going to run. Not quite right. Watch. He's coming through, but he's hesitating a little bit on the, letting off, and he doesn't quite get it down to where he needs. And the resulting issue is, of course, when he's going around this bottom apex, there he needs to turn the cart in. He's already too wide, and you see how he has to adjust back. So watch. He's not getting his cart turned up enough, and therefore you can see he's meandering off to the right. I like to think of these corners as having shadows, right? The corner that his cart is approaching, not the apex that he's on, but the next apex, the right. If you think about that corner, right, there is a shadow that it would cast across the track that would represent the zone in which you do not want to be. Look at that. Look at where, if you go from where I am right now, you can see my hands are turned, and you can see that essentially my wheels are now kind of like pointing up to the apex up ahead of me. I'm not going to pull as far right as he is. I'm going to be more center here, and I'm going to turn the cart over sooner and tighter to the next thing. He's got to struggle back over to the left now because he came in here a little too fast and a little too flat in angle. So he then has to compensate. Boing, way wide, comes back in. Okay, goes and gets his apex. It starts getting tidy again. Carries too much speed. Okay, so you can see there the carry too much speed, right? Why am I saying you need to take speed off on the second of those double apexes? You're going to see, right? So he can carry through there, but he can't hold the right side. So he's going to get into the shadow of the apex of the turn, not the apex he's on, but the next one. So again, imagine that there's, a shadow that's being cast across the track. You don't want to be on the inside of that. You want to be out here in the clear where I am to the right. You're going to bring the cart over maybe a little bit back to the even further to the right, but then I'm going to turn it right over and get down to this apex. So you can see the Cruz's line by virtue of going through there too quickly. Pushes him left. He ends up being too tight here, and he ends up having to run this big wide line, and I pull right back up on him. Okay, so first lap is of course a mess, but just to be expected. Saying himself, I'm going to get that apex. Does a much better job this time. Oh, but there's that pop off the apex I'm talking about. So he's going to come through here. He's going to take off some speed. He's going to get himself better position. But here he's going to carry too much speed, and you can see he can't get his cart laying on the apex like I want it to. I literally want my cart sitting on that thing at some point, and he never gets there. He ends up being wide, 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 and you can see he's bouncing off because he's carrying too much speed, and he's bouncing way off to the far side of the track. He now is way too far to the inside. He would have to go diagonally across the track. He's going to instead have to just send it down, lose a lot of speed to try to bring it back up to this apex. And then here he handles that well, and there he starts taking some speed off, and it's better managed, but still not quite great. Okay, I'm going to say, all right, tuck back in, Cruz, let's go do this again. And I'm going to show him where I want him to slow down. I want you to lay your cart here. Stay right. Clip this apex. I want you to clip this apex. And then here, stay right. Now turn the cart over. Okay, go get it, Cruz. Yes, sir. I will do better. Beat the speed. Oops. Better. Much better. Less wide. Okay. Yep. Get that car. Ooh, boing. Good. Take some more speed. Yeah. All right, so you can see he's starting to get it there. Takes a few laps. Now let's just watch him do it some more and watch him smooth it out. You can see there's a little bit of tail. There's an inefficiency in the slide, but the line is being much tighter. It's a little late turning it over. You can see how there's just a timing issue that will improve as you get used to it. Here he's obviously, letting off sooner than I am, but that's all right. Again, you see the pop off the apex that I'm talking about. Wide off of that, into the shadow, he has to compensate, but at this point he's offline through the whole thing because I think he felt, a little bit, pressured. Let's watch. So see where it goes wrong, see where it goes right. But don't worry, he gets it just fine. Ends up doing like 22, 2, something like that. So me tapping him didn't help. He ends up going way wide of this apex, and then he's like, that's actually okay. That's actually okay. All right, I think it must be here that he gets really hairy, but let's see. Better. Pretty good. Much better. You'll see as we lap here where I close and where I close on him. It's always going to be in this section here. This is the hardest part for people to get used to because it just takes a bit. In here, like I said, on the inside, it's all about controlling the speed into the key apexes. So it just takes a while to figure out what is the mid-corner load that this cart can carry without wanting to disattach itself from the surface. And, how much speed do I have to take off? There's me sneaking it under him, saying, come on, let's do some more lead follow. Sort of exaggeratedly taking some speed off there to make it easier for him. But this is what I'm trying to show him, the idea of where he wants to have the cart tight. Hold the throttle, release a little bit, get back in, lay the cart right on here, hold that tight. Lay the cart right on here, hold that tight. Lay the cart right on there, hold that tight, but you have to let off and then get it tight down there. So I'm trying to show him that there's a speed thing that's going on. Speed goes up, speed goes down, up and down, but it's all in the right foot, and it's all actually rather subtle. It is about finding that grip and then adjusting the speed if you have to. So that you don't become unglued at any point in the corner. Entry, mid-corner, and exit. You do not want screeching tires. You're going to have chirping tires because you just are. But when that chirp gets too much, that turns into push. which is a slide, which steals speed. All right, so he hooked it in nicely there. He's trying a later. Okay, good. See, there he turned the cart further over and just kind of gave himself a more exaggerated entry, but it seemed to help his rhythm. And look at that. Much better through that whole inside section. All right, a little bit narrow. See, there. Okay, hang on. Let's go back and look at that. So when he's not quite right. Okay, see how he's narrow here? He's going to have to kind of early apex it, if you will, right? And this is a late apex. Remember, you want to late apex this, which is why I'm saying lay the cart on that top of that thing. But in order to do that, you've got to be more where I am. So he's got to leap the cart over to the left in order to get it back down into a late apex, which he's not quite going to be able to do, I don't think. Nope. Not at all. All right, and so then he has to sacrifice and get himself back up. See those little moments where the tires are kicking out. That's what I say. Hold up.
You need to reduce a little bit of throttle in order to stay tight to certain apexes.
Okay.
So, you know, that apex there, the one that I said get flat to, before you go in, take a little speed off.
Okay.
Also, that one.
Lifts on this one too.
Yeah, you want to hold tight.
Okay.
All right, you guys want to continue or?
Yeah, I think we're good.
Good. All right.
Yeah, we're good.
All right, so we're going to keep going in our double session, and I've just sort of, oops, help. Off goes Cruz while I sit there. Thank you, sir. The problem with go-karts is that if you don't press the throttle, sometimes they turn off, depending upon the kart settings. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to let him catch back up here and see if he absorbed what I was saying, which I'm sure he has been showing evidence that he has been doing so. Okay, good. See, there, he's holding that side. Now he's coming up, coming over. Yep, take the speed off. Too much, too much, too much. See, he had to turn it over too quickly there. All right. Let's see what you got, Mr. Cruz. Good. He took off speed even though he was late. Turn it in. He's a little late on his turns, but that'll come with familiarity. He's reactive at this point because it's still new to him as opposed to preemptive. And this is sort of the ultimate preemptive. I'm going to pause this. The fast sweeper looks a lot scarier and feels a lot scarier than it actually is. Everyone inevitably lifts too much, too soon on that turn. You will see in the fast sessions later on in this video just how deep and just how late I hold it. And furthermore, there is no braking that I'm using anywhere here outside of an emergency, right? I don't need to rotate the cart using brakes. And in that fast sweeper, there is basically enough grip down there that you can clip both of those apex, turn the cart up vertically while basically rolling speed through there. And instead of doing a lift and then kind of engine braking down into that first apex, you're preemptively reducing throttle, sort of right at turn in, maybe down to 90, or maybe 85 or something like that, but it's still, it's not fully letting off the gas. It's enough to change the weight balance of the cart towards the front and allow you to sort of lock into the rubber arc that exists down there. And you can carry a ton more speed. In fact, you can carry so much speed that you're just managing the back end. And that's where you want to get to ultimately, and that's where you will get to ultimately. Anyway, I'll shut up. So like I said, this is our first heat. And we're just trying to get a sense of general line and general flow and the sort of the important greatest hits, if you will, communicated to Mr. Cruz. And he's doing a good job. So I'm going to let him go by again. And I'm going to follow him some more. Nice. Nice. I would have let it run a little bit different, but that was good and very good. See, those are good looking turns. Nice, nice. You know, the big difference between that one that he just did, right, and maybe like the one before where he was getting really sucked out wider, he takes off some more speed here. And look, finally his arc isn't crazy deep. Okay. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay, turned up a little bit, not good enough, but he compensates and is doing a pretty good job. He's a little behind the ball, like I said, you know, the little too fast through there, but you know, it's all good. That's because I tapped him, but you got to deal with that, right? Because that's going to be exactly what's going on in races. He did a good job of getting it more tidy. And as you can see, as he gets more tidy, it gets harder for me to pass him. And I'm probably going to send a couple fast ones. Say, okay, this is kind of what you want to do. So in our first heat, we had relatively moderate lap times. Let me look them up. Hang on. All right. So in our first heat, first double heat, you know, it starts with goofing around in the 23s and then getting down into the 22s. So the laps that you kind of want to be running here are 22 somethings. The lower the better. And the fastest laps you're going to see here are going to be 21 somethings. And here today, we get to run the whole gamut. FYI, not all carts are the same. You will see that over the course of the day where, you know, some of them are faster, some of them are slower. It's all relatively subtle. When you're racing here and you're doing an endurance race, you're going to switch, you know, you're going to have like stops and you're going to switch carts at stops. So some of this is, you know, luck of the draw, but in general, the carts are all very good. But yes, there are some that are slightly faster than the others. And I do some 21s in cart 6 later. And, you know, Cruz does get down to 22.2 today. So that is exactly where you want to be. You want to be capable of running low 22s, and the low 22s will turn into 21s in the right cart when you've got the line figured out such that you're not wasting time pushing through corners needlessly. So let us continue here for a little. Okay, so as I have warm tires, it's probably worth showing you this again. All right, so now I've got warm tires, and I want to point out This being the fast sweeper at the beginning, notice I am not running the cart all the way out to the wall. I am half, 3/4. Oops. Schnikes. Let's see. Yeah, half. Okay. I'm basically at this point here slightly reducing throttle, but I'm back into it very quickly. So the throttle reduction is to settle the nose of the cart and, you know, let the weight of the cart go forwards and lock me into that turn. And you can see that I'm getting both apexes, and it's all in the rubber there. So let's see that. So it's not a violent turn. Speed, it's just managing the back as that back comes around. And here, you know, all that precious stuff that's going on, the little movements are me trying desperately to keep that the balance of the cart such that I'm not wiggling the back end around and losing speed, pointing the cart in the wrong, you know, asking the cart to produce energy in the wrong direction. I'm trying to constantly be aware of what my tires are feeling, what they're doing, and if that means that I need to take off some speed to keep tight to that line, I'm going to. So, you know, I will be at 99% throttle maybe, or 98% throttle right before I commit to this, maybe at 95 here, but, you know, you're at 100 going down to 95, going back up to 100, down to 98, back up to 100, down to 90, back up to 100. It all depends. Nothing here needs to be dramatic. Nothing here needs to be violent. Everything here, ideally, is gripped up. It's doing much better, as you can see. Starting to get it. Yep. You can see me trying to, yeah, I can get by there maybe. So you see where the weaknesses are, right? Or rather, the vulnerabilities are. If you run wide, you're going to put yourself in the shadow, and you're going to have to do big movements across the track to put yourself back into position, which is going to create a problem for you in traffic. You're going to get bonked a lot. All right. So you can have a lot of fun with that turn, as you can see. You can really just sort of hang your nose onto it. And as your tires warm, you can see I'm able to get more and more deep into those turns. So it's like a big round arc, actually, that first sweeper. Here, it's all just making sure that you stay on the right-hand side of the track on the right turns to open up the left-hand turns, and to not overdo those left-hand turns so that you can then, you know, hold the right-hand turn that's coming up afterwards tightly. And here you can choose wide or you can choose narrow. And I think you're really only ever going to take that first apex on that last section. See, I'm like off throttle, but I'm back in here already. There's throttle happening through there. It's just that the throttle comes off before. Power reduction about here, and then power comes back in through here, and then maybe I take a little off, and then back in, maybe just a hair, like 99, and then back in, and 98, and back in, and then 95, back in, and so forth and so on. You just want to get the sense of the balance of the cart. Think about the line as being non-negotiable. and the balance of the cart, you're trying to keep the center line of the cart on that line. And in order to do that, the faster you go, the more the cart is going to want to deviate left, on a right turn, and vice versa. So you have to be thoughtful about the throttle, take the right amount off so that you can push through. And again, as with all karting, the name of the game is to be early to throttle as opposed to late. So if you're doing your speed reduction before the apex and then able to get back into gas so that you're carrying speed through the apex, that is the way you want to do this. All right, so that was the first double session. Let us go to the next carts. So we're going to pause here. All right, so here we go for our second round. It looks like Cruz is going to be in cart 11, and I'm going to be in cart 17.
So I'll go first. We'll go slow, 3-4 laps. I'll exaggerate where I'm lifting, and we'll go from there.
Are you guys doing a double again?
Yeah, we're gonna try that again. Halfway through, will you do the same thing? If it's,
Yeah, I got you.
he's getting faster, so at some point, I think 11 might be a quick cart, so he might be in something good.
All right, let's see if I can maybe jump us past a little bit. All right, so here we go. Back off into the exciting world. And like I said to him in the pits, I'm going to do some exaggeratedly slow laps. So let's watch. Clip this. Take speed off so that you can do that. Take speed off again so you can do this. Turn the cart over. Get that apex. Don't let it run too wide. Clip that. Carry throttle through here. Carry the lift. Get back in. Turn up. Lift little. Get back in. Lift. Get back in. Lift. Get back in. Lift. Get back in. Lift. Get back in. Actually, lift a little earlier. Let's do it again. Carry, lift, get back in, lift, get back in, maybe lift, turn over, get it back, maybe turn it over, lift, get it back, little lift, get back, little lift, turn it over, get it back, and go. Do you get it? That's kind of what I'm trying to communicate, is it's all about throttle management. All right, let's go. It is your turn, Cruz. Now, I think what we're going to see here is Cruz doing much better. I think he's got a relatively decent cart here, and I've got a so-so cart. I think I get down to the 22.2s in this one. And we'll see what Cruz does. I think he does 22.4s or 22. No, I think he did 22.4s in the first heat. So as you can see here, I'm just kind of taking us through the paces, showing him how to start hooking it together at speed. You can hear where the throttle came off. But remember, it's not a full throttle reduction. These are very subtle throttle reductions on the inside section. All right, so I'm letting Cruz by now. And let's follow him in cart 11. All right, much better. A little wide, but much better in spirit. A little narrow, but much better there. Good. Turn it down. Better. A little late. Turning it over. As you can see, it's still very far off to the side. He appears to have a stronger cart than me right now, which is good. You can see there's a massive improvement there. I'll still be able to catch him because I'm a little bit ahead of him in the turning my hands over in all of these corners, and I'm also a little bit deeper than him into the first part of this. But as you can see, he's doing a very credible job now of managing the cart along the line. There's just timing issues that will come with repetition, where you start dialing in the but he's starting to show like he's getting it, right? Because he's able to make on-the-fly adjustments. If he's too wide, he's doing things to kind of minimize the damage. See how much later I held it there? Like that, because I was playing catch-up. Here, listen. So there, you know, that's not full off. That's me taking early throttle, reducing, but then the throttle is back in a lot sooner. And here I'm just going to be more efficient to catch up to him. You'll see him less wide on the exit. But he's got a good cart there. You can see how there's rubber pulling me around through all of this. It's not all that visible on the track. You know, it's not a traditional track, but you can see that there's darkness there. And this is a Sunday, and there was no one here, right? So this track was cold. All right, so Cruz is asking me to go ahead and show him a couple more, which I will. I think you guys have the general idea. Let me pause. All right, let's let Cruz by again. Yoink. Ah, yes, this is much better. Ooh, I like it. Please, sir, may I have another? Indeed, you may. Much better. This is starting to look good. Eventually they're going to take our target away. Too much. Trying to out-efficiency him there. Alright, it's going to ask me to go again. And I'm going to guess that I'd pretty much send it for the rest of the heat to see if he can keep up. So let's pause. As it turns out, I let him by again. So let's do that. Come on by again. Telling the other guy we're going to do 2 heats. Alright, nice. And I think we're going to get some traffic on the track to join us. I'm not sure if it's this heat or next heat. So you can see, you know, he's not doing everything right all of the time. But as compared to the first few laps, this is a huge improvement because he's obviously starting to get the line much, much better and not overdoing the corners as much. It's not there yet, obviously, because you can see me pulling on him. But the general spirit is there. And like I said, you know, it gets down to 22.2. So yeah, that's pretty good. Pretty damn good. we going in or do we have people joining us? Ah. So this is where they fix the track. And we go in. All right, so let's pause here. All right, so in that second double heat where Cruz was in card 11 and I was in 17, I did 22-1 and Cruz did 22-4. So we're now going into our third double heat, and in this heat, I get a pretty decent card. That ultimately, let's see what I can do here. Card 3. Yeah, so in card 3, I do some 22-0s. And Cruz does 22-3 and 22-4. So he gets faster by a 10th. I don't think he has a particularly good card. I think 3 is pretty good. It's a 22-0 card, not a 21 something. So let's see what this one looks like. All right, so I'm going to be in 3. Which one's he going to be in? I think. Oh, right. So he's still on track. Let's see what's going on here. So what card's he in? He's in 11. All right, so let's go back to here. So he's in 11 still. Because we started at a weird time, because we stopped sort of mid-heat, I think I must have gone in and I think he took the same cart because he was stronger than the one that I had before, and now I took a different cart, which as it turns out is pretty good. All this wiggly-waggly that I'm doing right here is just me trying to warm tire, since this one has cold tires and Cruz has warm tires. Nonetheless, I'm going to say go for it, and I'm going to do my best to keep up. Let's see how he's doing now in his third. Wide. That's much better. A little wide. See, the wide hurts, right? Because look what I was able to do. So he's going to follow me. I think that's a pretty good example of what I'm talking about, of hugging that corner. Watch me manage the speed through here, and watch me put my card on this wall and hold that wall. Yep, that's basically what you want to do. So let's see where Cruz is here. Let's get Cruz in front of us. Pause. All right, letting Cruz by. I did a bunch of fast laps. Now I'm going to follow him. Taking a wider approach to have a different loop up. I think that made him too wide. Too loopy. So he's probably going to tighten that down. It's starting to look a lot better. So if you end up being wide, you end up having to take speed off. Right, so in order, let me show you what I mean. So if you're wide, let's say here, right here, and you end up too far to the left here, you have to take more speed off because you have to turn the cart back up and to the left from a bad position, right? If you're too far to the left, in order to U-turn the cart around this next apex, you are going to have to remove more speed in order to not run wide on exit. That is why it is important to hold the right. You can still defend well and pull it off, but that technically was me being narrow. I mean, see if you can tell the difference. See, I have to take off more to get back up here. I do it. It's not too bad, but it's not ideal. That looks good. Cruz is still struggling a little bit with that last section, and that's gonna, but that will be mastered, I'm sure. See how that looks nice and round when it's done correctly? There's no sliding. It's dramatic, but you're not sliding. And there, you're just, you know, I'm trying not to push at all, anywhere. This is looking good. These are solid laps. You know, I'm going to guess that that's probably the basic gist of what I want to communicate. I think you can see from the footage where, you know, we're driving with Cruz, you can see how his line started to change over time and how that got better and better. And when you can see where, when I'm behind him, sort of the areas where he's losing a little bit of time. Let me pause real quick. All right, so this is our third double heat, and I get a screamer of cart 6, and Cruz gets a dog in cart 1. Unfortunately, so he does not get a fast cart, and I do get a fast cart, or one of the better ones. So let's head on out on track and see what gives. Actually, let's go back a little further. All right, yeah, so here we are. So just doing some tire warming shenanigans. And so to a certain extent, it's Cruz. To warm your tires, it's not typically the fast jerky. It's big arcs. We'll put Schraube heat in your tire. You don't want to do the fast stuff is to clean the gums off your tires. You know, if you were like riding on sticky tires where there was stuff that you'd get pick up with tire slag, that's not going to happen on these types of tires. So here you just want to get the tires to heat, and the best way to heat them is just big arcs. You can see the rubber, you can see the arc that's being defined up. There you go. Now I'm going to have so much more juice than him here in a second. It's not even going to be even remotely fair. So yeah, I've got a good cart here and I run 21.9s. So I run a bunch of extremely consistent fast laps here. All within a couple tenths, and most of them are, you know, within 100. So I'll go like 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, 0.1, 0.1, 0.2, 0.1, 0.0, 0.0, 0.0, that kind of stuff. Let's just watch. In fact, if we're going to do this, let's go find an actual fast lap. Or, more interestingly, let's go to where we have traffic, because what we get somewhere in this heat is some people joining us. So let me pause. All right, so in the same heat a little bit later, we are joined by two other folks, and this is interesting because we get to go around them, and you'll see that I catch up to Cruz. And anyway, it's just kind of interesting to see getting around traffic. Sometimes you have to take the outside, which is always risky with novice drivers, right? Because they don't necessarily know you're there. So it's on you to be careful in these scenarios. If you're gonna, do not send it on people without, don't assume. You can go. Cruz is starting to nail it. That was a very solid last sector. Let's watch his exits. This is looking good. You're looking a lot better. Look at this. Bing. He turned it over right. You see that there? He did it beautifully. Like, his whole run was fabulous. You see, he managed that pretty well. He screwed it up, but there I didn't give him enough space to get back over. So here I've just got so much more cart. Unfortunately, I'm going to get impatient and want to go run amok. Let's see if there's anything else worth watching. All right, I see some more traffic, so let's see if there's anything we can... So I think Cruz's... manage that. So even though I have to go wide here, I can bring it back over and get back down to this apex and this apex. So if you find yourself having to get offline, obviously, to deal with traffic, right, you want to adjust your speed and trajectory and angle such that you can sort of hook the next apex up as least badly as you can. Anyway, so what ends up ultimately transpiring here is I do one more single heat with him, and he gets a chance, I guess, in 6 as well after I go, and puts down another 22.2 or something like that. I think Cruz will be able to do very quick laps here because you can see that the line is now starting to make sense to him, and you can see that he's starting to reduce speed where he needs to. What everyone needs to do is get used to this part that I just did right here, because that's weird. I would submit to you, play with that. Play with holding throttle deeper than you think you can, then letting off and letting it engine brake. When you let off, the back end's going to want to come around, so you're going to steer it that way. Or you could try doing a slighter let off earlier with getting back on sooner and driving through it. However you want to do it. There's there's several different ways that you can skin that particular cat. And, bear in mind, everything I say is based on my experience and what I think, makes sense. But, another driver may have a better way of doing it. But I think in general, the idea that I'm trying to communicate here is figure out which apexes you really need to be tight to, and figure out which part of the track, which side of the track you want to be on in order to be able to, get through these sequences of turn the best. And it's pretty straightforward. Let's summarize. Here you're going to want to hold throttle all the way through. Here you're going to want to prioritize this apex, which I didn't there because of the traffic. So let's get to the next lap. in summary, hold throttle through here. Hold, 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 hold. Take off, get back in. Take off. Hold tight, get back in. Stay to the right. Get under. Yep. Take off, get back in. You might have to take off to get back in. Take off to turn it over, get back in. And so forth and so on. That's it. It's getting the timing and staying on the line. So anyway, good job, Cruz. I thought you did awesome. And let's go back and do this again. And, you know, let's see if we can get you in the right cart down into the 21s. So again, yeah, I did 3 21s in cart 6, a bunch of 22 zeros as well. And then I would say, you know, I've gotten 21.8 in the last race. You know, again, in a good cart. I think some of the lighter guys can do like 21.6s, I think I saw on the board. And so forth and so on. So anyway, good job, Cruz. And I will see you guys actually for the first of the races coming up, the 1 hour races. So I got a 1 hour race here, solo, coming up on Saturday morning. And then I'm heading down to Florida for a work thing. While I'm down there, I'm going to get a bunch of laps in at Andretti and Orlando like I do when I'm down there, which is a bizarre little track that's a lot of fun. Last time I was there, it was icy. And really fun to drive, even though they don't, you know, the karts are slow, because it's so slippery on the ground floor. It's got some unusual characteristics. Anyway, I enjoyed lapping there, and there's some nice people who work there, so that'll be fun. Anyway, thank you for watching, and you know, Cruz, thanks for coming out, and I'm looking forward to racing together, and let's go get quick. Be well, guys.